Hi, my name's Amy and I live on an island in the middle of the River Thames in London. A few years ago, I had a dream to buy a van and convert it into a luxury off-grid campervan to go travelling. I have no experience and have never taken on a project like this before. Armed with a lot of YouTube watching hours and some great friends, this is what I've been up to. Let's go back to May 2024 and I set off from London to Leicester with my sidekick, Lemon, to view a 2005 Mercedes Treka Bus, which I immediately fell in love with and named Betty. I didn't take possession of her until August, as she needed some work, and the seller generously allowed me to pay for her in instalments over the summer. When the big day finally came to collect her from the garage with a fresh MOT and new service, I put my big girl pants on ready to drive Betty Beast home for the first time. Well, things didn't quite go to plan, and not long after I left, poor Betty broke down. Well, here I am at a hobby horse carvery off some dual carriageway in Leicester. The bus is behind me, and that is because we broke down. I managed to get her back to the garage, where she spent a couple more weeks being repaired, and finally in September, I brought her home and she ran like a beauty. Then the work began to transform her from council mobility bus to luxury tiny home on wheels. So what are we working with? She is a 2005 Mercedes Treka Bus. She's a diesel engine. She is 6.5 meters long, 2.9 meters high, and 2 meters wide. Other fun facts are that she's built on a Sprinter chassis, but her body is completely made of fiberglass. She was originally built as a 16-seater mobility bus. She was part converted into a campervan by the previous owner, but I'm taking her back to the chassis for a complete overhaul. So where do we start? The first job was to fit a new door lock to ensure Betty would be secure. I naively thought this was a quick and easy project, but I hadn't realised that I'd need to start demoing the interior just to be able to even access the right space. I realised that it's basically going to take me the next 2 hours just to try and get this one piece off. My first victory! It is out! After cutting into the door frame to recess the lock, a lot of jiggery pokery, and some choice swear words, the lock was fitted. However, there was no getting around needing a second pair of hands to help it all align and tighten it up. Enter my neighbour Simon, who masterfully saved the day by ensuring the door lock was installed and in full working order. First job on the conversion complete. Next up was to remove all the existing internal furniture and fittings to give myself a clear space for demo. After saving, selling, donating and recycling the existing furniture, I was left with a clear space. Next on the docket was to add privacy film to all the windows to add an extra layer of security to the bus. What I learned was that it's a bit of a fiddly process made much easier with a second pair of hands. Do you see a theme emerging? Thankfully, my friend Laurie came to help and we smashed it. Now time for the real demo to start. Step 1. Remove all the internal fiberglass panels and old insulation. This was a proper mission, as most of the screws were rusty and didn't want to come out, and then, on top of that, all the panels were glued with what must be the strongest glue known to man. Luckily, with some persistence and a lot of welly, I got there. Next, it was time to tackle taking the ceiling down, and I knew I would need help, so I brought in the big guns. and by that I mean my friend Jerry. After a couple of hours hard work, the ceiling was down. For the first time in this project, I am adding new things to the bus. The first thing to install was a ventilation fan. This will provide airflow within the bus and help to prevent condensation. The most terrifying thing about installing this was needing to cut a massive hole in the roof of the bus. The second most terrifying thing was getting myself onto the roof of the bus.
I don't really like ladders or heights, you know, just as it turns out.
Yeah.
Well, at least the roof sort of feels pretty solid.
Good.
Okay, I'm up.
Okay.
Yeah.
After putting the fan in place, I just needed to screw through the roof into the internal frame within, and then use a generous amount of sealant to make it watertight. Next up, solar panel installation. I'm installing two 200-watt solar panels which will form a crucial part of my off-grid electrical system. First thing was to install the mounting brackets to each panel, making especially sure that all the brackets were installed in the correct orientation, which I definitely did right the first time. Not. The great thing about having friends help with this project is they catch my mistakes and encourage me to do the work properly and to a high standard so it lasts. After a lot of planning and measuring, Jerry and I got the first solar panel onto the roof of the bus. Then it was once again time for me to get back on the roof and secure the solar panel by screwing through the roof into the wooden anchors inside, and you guessed it, add a lot of sealant to waterproof all the holes.
First solar panel on! How exciting! We did it! Welcome back to day 2 of solar panel install. I'm expecting that today will go much quicker, smoother than yesterday because now we know what we're doing. Most importantly, yesterday went very well because 1, no one fell off the ladder. 2, no one fell off the top of the bus. We had one minor incident where I managed to accidentally drill through Jerry's hand. Not through, just a little scratch. But since he's agreed to come back and help today, I'm gonna assume that we're still friends.
Armed with yesterday's experience, we decided that it was safer if Jerry worked from the ladder to save me getting onto the roof of the bus, as the front of the roof was a lot weaker than the back.
Here she is, 2 solar panels and an air fan. So for right now, the ceiling of the bus is complete. So there you have it, everything that's happened from May last year to January 2025 of this year. As you can see, there is still a huge amount of work left to do, as is just the nature with taking on a massive project like this. A lot of the channels that I love to watch on YouTube are mainly couples who have packed in their full-time jobs and have given themselves a tight sort of 2-month deadline for converting their vans before they go off on amazing adventures. And that's amazing, but that's just not the reality that I live in. This build is being done essentially solo, albeit with the help of some amazing friends, and I can't ever thank them enough. They know who they are. Around the realities and constraints of a full-time job, and also around the constraints of only having a certain amount of money per month to be able to invest in materials. So because of that, I don't have a clear timeline of how long this is going to take, when it's going to be ready, but that's okay because I'm really enjoying the journey and the learning process. What I really also want to highlight is that everyone's journey is unique to them, and really it doesn't matter what path you choose to take. What matters is you get on that path, you start the journey, and you just go and make your dreams come true. So there's no right or wrong way of doing it, just get out and do it. I want to thank you all so much for following along on this journey. I'm so excited about what's going to be coming up over the next year. If you haven't already clicked that subscribe button, go ahead and do it. You'll get notified when new videos come out. If you're new here today and have just seen this recap, welcome to the adventure. And for those of you who've been watching since the beginning, thank you so much for all of your support and your amazing comments. And I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next videos. Happy New Year!